All right, just checking real quick. Can you see it tagged, Michelle?
I don't see it tagged just yet.
No.
Oh, let's see. Yep,
Yes?
sure do.
All right, awesome, awesome, wonderful. All right, well, welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Eventful Life Living Out Loud. I am your host, Janelle Boyd, and I am a mompreneur, educator, motivator, and most recently, someone called me an instigator. And so the reason why is because I do like to challenge you to think a little bit differently. And I think that's so appropriate right now for the year and just the current times that we are in, right? So, the Eventful Life focuses on bringing you mompreneurs and women in business who are sharing their unspoken truths and about the triumphs and some of the challenges they face daily, but while still showing up as their authentic selves. And I think that's so important, guys, because we're in times where that's really what we need. We need authenticity so that we can stay connected. We need transparency so that we, even though we might be in this pandemic and feeling isolated, it doesn't mean that we have to be distant emotionally, right? We can still find connection with each other in our authenticity and our transparency. So I'm so glad to have you guys back here with me again. You know, I appreciate you for sharing this time and this space with me and the phenomenal women that I bring you every week. And I'm excited because once again, and you guys know I say this all the time, but I really am surrounded by some of the most phenomenal women out here. And so I have to share them with you. And I have another one with me this week, Mansfield Loretta, who is the owner and founder of Be Sage. Recently, right? Recently,
Yes.
they just celebrated business birthday, and I think it was 12 years.
12 years. I
Yes,
know. I can't believe
that is
we're almost a teenage
amazing.
business.
Right. Right, growing up, right? You are no longer a baby. You are moving into the adolescent and the teen years, and that is definitely something to be celebrated. She's also a mompreneur herself. She's also a coach and consultant, and I have been able to witness some of her genius from afar. But she really is a phenomenal businesswoman. So, Michelle, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun to talk with you. I feel like
Yes.
we've email chatted for so long.
Yeah. Right. I feel like, either email or just, seeing you doing different things like your conference and, speaking. I'm just like in my head, I'm like, I already know her. So
Same.
Oh, it's so good to have you. And so I want to dig in and really allow you to kind of intro yourself to the audience here. Because, again, I've seen how you have definitely grown your business, but also in the midst of, family and all the things. And so I would love for you to just share a little bit about kind of how you got started, where you are now, and look, and all those things in between.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I'm Michelle Loretta. I'm the owner of B Sage Consulting. Some of you guys may know me under the former name Sage Wedding Pros. That's what we founded ourselves on. And as the business grew and we started developing B Sage Conference, people started knowing us more and more for that B Sage name, Be Wise. And so about a year and a half ago, we rebranded to B Sage Consulting. I do business coaching, business consulting, mostly business plan coaching and financial strategy consulting. So my background is actually in accounting and finance. That's what I studied in college. That's what I worked in right out of college. I worked for one of the big four accounting firms, Deloitte. And
She's
I
the money
learned,
gal.
yeah, I'm a Deloitte alum. Yep. And I learned the ins and outs of numbers. And I say this in my business these days. It's, the numbers aren't just numbers. They're a representation of everything that's happening in your business. Every single
Yeah.
decision has a number that means something to that. And so if you can really understand what the numbers are doing in your business or what you want your business to do financially, you can really direct the path for your business. It's a very powerful process. So after Deloitte, I worked in sales and marketing for a while. I was a merchandiser for Coach handbags, which was kind of fun. And then in 2004, I launched a wedding stationery brand. That's how I got into weddings and events. Yeah, that was my,
that I didn't know,
that was,
Michelle.
oh yeah.
So we might have to
that's
dig
how I
into
got
this
into
a
this
little bit.
industry. Yeah, that's how I got into this industry. So that
We
was
might
in
have to dig into
2004.
stationery. What
Yeah.
about stationery?
I have
Like,
always loved paper and stationery. I was not a trained designer when I started the business. In 2004, the style was very different too. These days, what people do graphically in invitations is just so different and so absolutely beautiful, really branding a wedding. But in 2004, it wasn't as much about that, but it was about the paper and the embellishments and things like that. That was the style. And that was really my style. And so I loved working with like Italian papers and Japanese papers. And so there were a lot more decorative elements in those days.
Yeah.
And so we still see that a little bit like in envelope liners, but we don't see many of like the wrapping things that happen with papers and things. Like boxing a little bit, but
that's so unique. I love it.
Yeah. So that's how I got into the industry and started, establishing relationships with people. And then in 2009, I started writing a business blog for the industry. So using my past life in the industry and really helping people, guide them into in those days, people weren't talking about the business of weddings, the business
I remember.
of
Yeah. No, I remember. That's right when I was entering into the industry. And you're right. They weren't.
There weren't
the linens and the flowers.
Yes. And you went to a conference and you learned how to be an amazing designer, which it's really interesting because I feel like we kind of missed that a little bit now because I'm on the business side of things. So definitely there's so much value to that, but you go to a conference and sometimes I'm like, well, I want people to learn how to be better designers, so it's interesting the change in the education for sure. Yeah.
That's so funny. So where did the financial piece, well, I know from being an accountant, but where did the thought or the idea of I'm really going to focus in on
those
the
things.
the financial piece?
Yeah. So one of the first things, blog series that we became known for was this series. It was called the 13-Step Business Plan. And so it was a series that guided people on how to write a business plan. And nobody ever talked about writing a business plan in our industry. That was considered something very corporate or something that technology companies did when they were looking for, financing and banking and things like that. But that process of writing a business plan is incredibly valuable in determining, what am I selling? Who am I selling to? At what price? And how am I going to communicate that? How does my business run? And how does it make money at the end of the day? And so out of that series, people really started knowing me for teaching people how to write a business plan. And so I had a partner at that time. We launched the Simple Plan Workshop, and that was our first educational workshop. And we started teaching people how to write a business plan in 2 days. Wow. In that process of this is how you write a business plan, we developed other things. So one-on-one coaching on business planning. And I started to see as I was working with people on the financial piece of the business plan, there were a lot of holes in people's knowledge base. And so I realized like, wow, this is something that I know really in depth how to do. And from there, I started getting clients that maybe had come to a workshop and wanted me to teach them a little bit deeper on the financial piece. And so maybe I would just kind of coach them a little bit on finances. And I was like, these people really need a big overarching strategy. And this is a cool story, actually. My first financial strategy client was Junebug Weddings, the original founders, Blair de Lobenfels and Christy Weber. They hired me to create a financial plan for them that would really take a look at the upcoming 2 to 5 years of their business. They had grown really strongly in their business, and they were really trying to figure out, how do we scale this business with what would eventually become a plan for them to sell the business. And
Yeah,
so I'm really excited or proud of the fact that I helped create that path for them that
absolutely.
enabled them to eventually sell their business.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think that's so good for a number of reasons because while we love to, as business owners, women in business, but also I would say also on the personal side to a degree here,
Mm-hmm.
while we love to bring the money in, there's so often times there's that, okay, but do what you're putting out, and do you
Mm-hmm.
know how you're forecasting ahead of time, and so that you know what to bring in. And so
Yeah.
there's this idea that I don't know, like we don't like to look at the numbers. Like it's like we just want it to like magically through osmosis come to
Yeah.
us.
I think
But
a lot of people
numbers
have
don't
like,
lie.
no, and I think that comes from the fact that a lot of times people have like math PTSD from, third grade or high school algebra. And yeah,
Listen,
so
I'm gonna
that's,
put my hand up, Michelle, because right now in these pandemic, okay, parenting skills, I have had to become the math tutor, and I'm like, I don't like this.
yes, 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 yes. And so we're carrying that baggage into our
Yeah,
business, right? And then
yeah,
there's this whole other piece of people having like, financial trauma, their
mhm.
history growing up, or
Yeah, that's
even, in
real.
their younger years,
Right,
things that may
right.
have happened, bad decisions
The
that they made.
relationship that you may have garnered with
Hmm.
money, with finances, just
Hmm.
through your family, right? Like just,
Hmm. Hmm.
inherently picking it up because
Hmm.
maybe mom and dad didn't talk about
Yes,
money like that,
yes, yes,
So
yes,
you're so
absolutely.
right. That's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And a lot of times it's out of sight, out of mind. People don't want to talk about it, or they don't want to deal with the numbers, because a lot of times it's because we know that our business isn't performing as well as we want it to,
Mm,
and we feel
yeah.
shameful of that. And
Yeah. Oh, there's
I
that word.
don't I don't look at it as something to be shameful about. To me, there's opportunity everywhere. And so
That's good.
it doesn't matter what somebody's coming to me in terms of their financial situation. I'm really looking for ways to always make them more money and to find
Yeah.
opportunities. So there's no judgment to be made. These are,
Right.
this is just, it just is whatever
Yeah.
it is. Like,
It
let's
is
just
right.
figure out how to move forward
And
and
how to make it better.
get you more money. That the
Right.
end of the day. Like,
I like you. I'm gonna keep
that's
you
what I
around. Like,
love.
let's
I'm
just
like,
figure
I
out
don't
how to
really
get
care what you did last year. Now I'm going to look at what you did last year, because that's part of the path of understanding. But I
right.
also, again, there's no judgment there, because we're looking forward. We are
Right.
looking forward and trying to figure out how to make you more money.
That's good. That's good. And that's a great place for us to kind of transition to into my next question for you because we are all trying to look forward right now.
Mhm.
We're all trying to focus ourselves forward, but also with trying to figure out what does forward look like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we're kind of in this push and pull, and I think to your point with financials,
Yeah.
when you don't see what you had hoped for,
Mm.
then sometimes the thought is, I need to do more and I need to do it
Mm.
faster and I need
Mhm.
to, I need to apply pressure like,
Mhm.
girl, you ain't getting it done, so you need to do
Mhm.
more, right?
Mhm.
And so I want to read you to you for a minute because
Okay.
you shared a quote and I thought it really resonated with me. And I thought it was very profound for a time such as this. So, this is what you said: life is long. We're always in such a rush to create our empires so quickly. We can do it all. It just doesn't need to happen in just 1 year.
Yeah.
Take time to build something valuable, and it will pay off for you in the long run. I thought that was really, really good, Michelle, because that is a reminder that probably all of us need
Mhm.
right now and on a
Mhm.
daily basis.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, you can get sucked into, I have found myself, I mean, just recently, and I've kind of been on this um, journey of
Mhm.
really just not allowing myself to get pulled into
Yeah.
I gotta do all the things all the
Yes.
time, right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we can easily, each of us, find ourselves there. And my hope and desire is that coming through this pandemic, that's one of the things that I learned, is that you don't have to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you
Mm-hmm.
really can, like you said, take your time. You can do it all, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean that all has to be done now. And
Yeah.
so let's talk about that a little bit. Like, how did you, where were you when you thought about this, first of all? Like,
Yeah, I think that when you kind of hit your 40s, everybody finds this realization at different points in their life,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So some people may kind of discover that in their 30s, some people may not discover it till their 60s. But I think it was like in my early 40s where I started to realize, and having conversations with people that were younger than me,
mm-hmm,
and realizing like, God, there's so much urgency. This is like their first business that they're doing, and they're trying to
right,
get things to happen overnight. And it was in having some of those conversations with people that I realized, listen, I've been in business, I've been an entrepreneur now for 16, almost 17 years.
yeah,
And, all the things I've been able to do in 17 years, if I tried to cram them all into 1 year, that's impossible. Even
right,
looking at all
right,
the things that happened in just the first 5 years, it feels like just the tip of the pin.
yeah,
And so, I remember talking to this guy. I was in a mastermind group, and he had so much great energy, and he was like, and how do I do this? And I was like, slow
slow
your roll
down.
here. Yeah.
You're like,
Like,
pump your brakes.
you're like, you can get all these things done. Like, he had so many business ideas. So it's like, but you
Yeah,
need to pick one. You need to choose one first.
yeah,
And so, this year, I'm calling it the year of the great pause. I think
that's
it's been
good.
valuable in thinking of like, okay, we were forced to pause. We've
Mm-hmm,
been forced to take an inventory of our businesses and our
mm-hmm,
life to see
mm-hmm,
what's working and what's not working. And I
right,
think most people I talk to that are business owners are really trying to figure out like, okay, I don't want to go back to 2019, because even
yeah,
though things were good at, especially in terms of like the events industry,
yeah,
I was also working 100 hours a week. Right. And
right,
so how do we get back to thinking about, what is it that we really want from life,
yeah.
and bringing with us the good lessons of 2020. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And really reimagining taking those things and reimagining what can be now,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
that's the great opportunity we have in front of
Hmm.
us, is
Hmm.
to not squander the lessons learned,
Hmm.
but also to
Hmm.
apply the things that worked really well,
Hmm. Hmm.
and maybe apply some new things, that we don't know if,
Yeah. Yeah.
if it will work well, but
Yeah.
we're willing to try it because we got opportunity in
We
front of
have an
us.
opportunity to do that.
Mhm,
Yep,
mhm.
exactly.
That's so good.
And the other idea with, with life being long is I feel like sometimes we're trying to jam everything into like the year, right? And
Yeah.
I can say this from experience. When I was an early mom, I remember thinking with my first child, my daughter, I remember thinking when she was in those first months that she was born, I jumped right back into work really quickly, because I thought that if I didn't have a presence, that people were going to forget about me in the industry and I would grow irrelevant.
Ooh,
I
okay,
laugh at this
Michelle. Now you're
idea
driving
now.
down my.
Yeah, I know, but
Are you driving down my street now? You're driving down my street? Okay, okay.
very intuitive. I have my witchy ways. I know. No,
But
but the
you're
reality is
right. Yeah,
we think like, okay, I'm a new mom. I have this new
yeah,
business. I need to
yep,
make all the things happen. It's like, no, you can be in the mom role, the primary mom role for a few
yeah,
years. If that's what it means, and if that's what you need to do in your family right now, then
yeah.
that's fine. You will
That's good.
have time to, spend more time on your business when the
Yeah,
time is right, right?
yeah. But
And
how do you drown out the noise that says otherwise, right? Because
yeah, it's
then
the keeping up
we
with
get,
the Joneses
yeah, and we
of
get sucked
business owners.
into the idea of
Mhm.
um you know, being superwoman, and I can do, you know, I can carry the baby on my back while I fly to the event and do all, you know, it's just, it's crazy. But I mean, that was me, right? And I'm sure there are other moms out there who have felt, I've even heard it, like, you know, I felt like I was letting my clients down because I got pregnant. And I'm like, oh,
I felt that. Yep, I felt that.
oh.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, you know, where do we draw the line? Because we're still human. We're still human.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is you know, being deeply impacted by what others are doing. You know, it's the keeping up with the Joneses from a business perspective, right? And so we see our competitors or even our colleagues and friends that are doing things, and we want that too. But it doesn't need to happen right now. It's almost like good for you, not good for me. And right now I really need to, yes, exactly. And I really need to focus on what I need for my business or what I need from my life. And I think a lot of people went through that this year. I know that, you know, in March, April, a lot of people were able to pivot very quickly, and bravo if you did that. There are a lot of people that were not in a place to do that. I was not in a place to do that personally. You know, it took me months to be in a place where I felt like creating something. Whereas like there were people who were like, I'm creating a new business. I'm creating brownies and cupcakes. And I was like, people be making things right now. All I want to do is hide in my closet for another year, you know, like where is this energy? On the couch. Where is this energy coming from? You know, I did my work and I kept up with my work because I, you know, because I do, you know, I'm a hard worker, but it was not time for innovating in my world. So good for you if you were in that place. Bravo. But the problem is a lot of people that were not in that mindset or didn't make sense for their business, to be quite honest, looked and said like, should I be pivoting? Should I be pivoting? Am I missing out on the big opportunity to pivot? Oh, there's money to be had and I can't be having it. Well, the reality is like it takes a lot to start a new business or a new idea, and it's probably going to take you 2 to 3 years to get it off the ground anyways. And by then, hopefully the pandemic is gone. So I think that if people are able to stop and really think about like, what is it you want from life? What is it you want from your business? Do these two things align? And if I see a shining object, is that going to help me get this? And if not, you just have to keep doing what you're doing and wait for the right time.
Direction.
Wait for the right time. If April wasn't a good time for you to try a new venture, well, maybe January was, or maybe now. Or maybe you've gone through the whole year and you've realized, I don't want a new venture. I want to just improve the business I had.
That I already had,
you know?
No, I think that, and what it really, you know, says to me and has said to me throughout this pandemic is that we've really got to be okay with doing things on our terms, right?
Yes.
Like that is, and that is really how the Eventful Life came to breath, because I just was fed up of like, why am I doing these things where I'm making myself do things on other people's terms and other people's time, you know, and not to say, and let me be clear, I'm not saying that anybody was holding a gun to my head and saying, you got to do that, you know, it was self-inflicted, right? Completely self-inflicted, but it was me making myself, you know, work and live by somebody else's rules that I had taken on, and so
feeling insecure about it, you know.
Exactly, and that could be a part 2 to our conversation, because the inside stuff,
you got to bring a therapist in for that one, because that's a whole other. It's a whole other level.
We want to go there, Michelle, because that's a whole other
conversation.
A whole other episode, right? That's take 2. So, you know, but you're right. I mean, that is where you just have to be like, okay, what do I need and what do I want, and what makes sense for me in this moment, you know? And so that, again, I love how you just organically segue us into the next question. You know, so that, you know, really leads into the thought of, is it, you know, all or something, right? Because I think a lot of us have probably at one point in time in our life used the mantra, it's all or nothing. Like, I'm going full throttle. I'm going to do this thing. I know I got this. Can't nobody tell me differently, And I would argue, does that serve us well anymore?
No.
And maybe it is better for us to adapt a all or something mentality and mindset. And so I want you to talk a little bit about, how that came up for you as far as the all or something.
Yeah. So all or something is, I'm in this health program called Balance 365, and they talk a lot about this. Like, it's not about exercising your ass off ever. Sorry for cursing on your thing, but
hey,
it's not about doing a marathon every single day. It's about like trying to find movement in your life. And if you get it 3 or 4 times a week, well, that's better than nothing, right? So something is better than nothing. And so they really talk about this philosophy, and I really like it. And I feel like we can apply this to all aspects of our life, right? Our business is a big one. There is in the nature of weddings and events, there is the nature of perfectionism, which can completely be paralyzing. Perfectionism is paralyzing. It will stop you from doing things. And so if your your attitude is, I have to do all or nothing, like I either have to have the most amazing website that's absolutely perfect, or I don't want to launch it at all. And it's like, well, you're never going to get off the ground, right? So maybe it's I don't want to say it's striving for mediocrity, but it's really striving to be
I think it's mediocrity. I think it's like you just said, like
to be the best version of yourself possible, but not the best version of somebody else, right? And so I know personally that if I'm able to blog a couple times a month, then that's great for me, and sometimes it's 10 times a month, right? But that's the best for me. And if I don't post to Instagram every day, well, it's gonna be fine, right?
Like, life will not cease to exist and people will not vanish.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the things that are the most important? Be consistent with those things. And something is better than nothing at the end.
And it really is, because I'm like, it takes the pressure, the self-induced pressure, right, off of you to when we think all or nothing. It's like, okay, I can tell you and again, going back to the wellness, that was one of my roadblocks to just moving my body consistently, like doing some form of movement practice every day, because I always had this all or nothing mentality about it. And I never really focused on what is this doing for me internally. Like, it was all about the scale, or into this cute dress, or getting ready for, this vacation. And so, but the all or nothing is what was killing me, because if I would have a day that I would miss, I literally would be like, oh, well,
we're done. I'm done.
Yep. I'm like, we're done.
As well throw it all out the window.
No, all right. I'm like, no, nothing to see here. We're no longer, we're no longer working
all
out.
All that hard work down the drain.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, that is such a detrimental way of thinking. Like, do you really think missing one day has literally reduced everything that you've done? But that is literally what I thought. And so I think the all or something really resonated with me, and I hope it does with the audience out there too, because it also takes the pressure off. It's like, I still did something. Like, if you say every single day, I still did something. That makes me feel better. Like, I did something.
And you know what? Moms need to like sign up to this as well, because I know that if you're sweating the craft projects and the homemade cupcakes and the all or something philosophy with me as a mom has never been an issue. I've never needed to be the type A mom or the 100%
Right.
mom. There's
Right.
other avenues in my life that has been a little bit more of a lesson for me to learn, but I've
Yeah.
always been like, you know what? Store-bought cupcakes are just fine. And I've never felt the need to bake a single thing in my
They will
30
eat every
years as a
single one.
mother. And they will be happy, and they'll be happier than if I baked them and burnt them and they were disgusting. So, so
I love it.
but
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not everybody feels that way. They do
Yeah.
feel really judged, or that they need to keep up with other
Yeah.
parents and things like that. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, your child really only cares about that time that they spend with you. That's
That's
all
right.
they care about. Doesn't
That's
matter
right.
about the store bought or the bake or whatever. If you
Yeah.
enjoy baking with your child, great, and then do
Right.
that. But it's much more about the time that you invest with that
That
child
you
than
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. I think that's definitely words of wisdom. I think it's a total mindset shift. And I'm really glad that you shared it out loud. That's the thing. We never know when we're sharing stuff, we really don't ever know how it is going to hit home with
Yeah.
other people. And, that's one of the reasons why I say your story, pieces of your story, or even when you share your full story, even though it's about you, it's not for you. It's
Yeah.
never for you,
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thank
Yeah.
you for freeing me. No. So, Michelle, as we start to kind of wind down and wrap up our conversation, what's one piece of advice, as it relates to, just moving forward, like now, while we are in this time where we all are trying to move forward and, again, maybe feeling a little conflicted or still a little confused about where to go, how to take that next step, if they should be, doing this versus that. What's that one piece of advice that you would share?
Yeah, I think people really need to think about what they want in their personal lives and see if
Yeah.
their business is matching those needs. And if not, you really need to rethink your business, either restructure something that's not working, or, rethink your business model. Um, but here's the thing, most of us, especially as women, we start businesses because we have a personal need to do something, or
Hmm.
it fulfills a personal thing in terms of our family life or whatever it
Hmm.
is. What
Hmm.
happens is we get on this treadmill of business ownership, and then we forget, like, well, the whole reason I wanted to have this business is so that I was in charge of my time or whatever. And
Right.
all of a sudden your clients are making you work
Your
100
time
hours
is
a
in charge of
week.
you.
Exactly. So people really need to go back to, like, what is it that
Yeah.
you want? Why did you want this business? It was to fulfill a personal need, because if it was to fulfill like some sort of like entrepreneurial, you would have started a .com, like
Right.
we
Right.
as women business owners, especially in weddings and events, start businesses out of a personal need. Maybe it's artistic, right?
Hmm.
But maybe
It's
it's
the creative nature.
yeah,
Yeah.
the creative
Yeah.
aspects of it. Maybe it's that we want more balance or more time with our families.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, we need to make sure that the business is still feeding that. And if not, we
Hmm.
need to
Make
rethink
adjustments.
about why that might
Yeah.
not be.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah.
really good. And I love that you said make sure that it is fitting your need,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
like you said, we lose sight of that. Like this
Yeah.
was to fit my need. Like yes, the end game end result is that it is going to serve other people, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it started to serve my need, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's a hard thing
Uh-huh.
I believe, for women
Yes.
to really affirm, is
Yes,
that
yes.
it was
And
a need.
especially in service-based businesses
Mhm.
where we're constantly giving to our clients and things like that, it's hard to pull back and say, like, no, wait a second, I need boundaries because this business was supposed to serve me, not the other way around.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was so good. So good. All right. So I have my rapid fire, 5
Okay.
questions. Okay. And just so everybody knows, if this is your first time tuning in, I always ask my guests 5 rapid fire questions at the end that they do not know about. They've not been informed. So whatever they share is straight off the top of their head, but I'm also not responsible for whatever they share. Okay. So
Just a little nervous.
I promise it's PC.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so number 1, What do you like to do for fun?
Oh my goodness. Well, normally I would say I love going out with friends on the
I know.
weekend to enjoy a really long meal and cocktails. That's what I always say before the pandemic.
Yeah.
These days it's like, well, let's go to the beach by ourselves as a family.
By ourselves.
Yes,
So
nobody
we
else.
got a pre-pandemic and
Yes,
a pandemic fun.
exactly.
All right, number two, what's one stereotype about moms or women that
Mm.
drives you bananas?
Um, that women are needy and high maintenance.
Ooh, yeah.
I hate that stereotype. I think it stems from, we're emotional beings, and a lot of
Mhm.
times we're expressing ourselves,
Yeah.
and it's often not out of, being needy or anything like that.
At all.
So
At
yeah, I
all.
don't like that. I don't like when I
Yeah.
hear that about other women.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Number three, who is your BFF in your head?
Oh, my BFF in my head? I think it's me. Can I say that?
Oh my gosh, that is the best answer that I have heard this entire season. Like, I am seriously not
I'm trying
kidding.
to think. I mean, I have BFFs in my life and in my texts and all that. But listen, there's two things here. Well, there's three things.
I
I'm
love
an introvert. So there you go.
it. Right.
If I'm going through something, it's on me. I'm an introvert. I need to process on my own. I need to go through that. I'm
Yeah.
also a number 5, Enneagram. Sorry, Enneagram 5.
Oh, wow. So,
So
okay.
I'm
So I
very
totally get it.
analytical and in my
Yes.
head.
So you're all, yeah, you're
Yeah.
all up in here.
And in Gretchen Rubin's tendencies, I'm a questioner. So what a questioner does, I don't know if
Mhm.
you've read that, but a questioner really they have their internal compass that helps them make decisions,
Yeah.
and they're not influenced as much by outside needs, which can be very
Oh, I love
detrimental too. But like, as a questioner, I have to go through this process where it makes sense for me in
For
order to
you,
like
yes.
take action. So,
Yeah.
what a
So you
crazy
are
answer
like,
to your
honey,
question. Sorry.
we are going to solve, fix, find
I need to
solutions,
go see
work
a
out the
therapist for
problem.
that. I think I need to go see a therapist for that one.
I love it. I love it. Listen, hands down, best answer. All right. Number 4, what do you dream of becoming?
Retired.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, these are great answers. Like, I don't know if you planned this or what.
No, you know what?
This
I'm
is
so
really
horrible
good.
with these questions normally because as an introvert, I'm really in my head and I don't do well with like
Like
spontaneity.
retired. Like, that is the period, point blank.
I want to be retired. That is not a lie.
Love
I
it.
love my job, but I
Yes.
really do enjoy like not working.
Life. No, basically, you're like, I want to live life. Like,
Yes.
before life lives me, I want to live life.
Yep, exactly. And I really do love working. I really, really do. But I think that maybe the pandemic made me, I didn't get a pandemic vacation where I was like
Yeah.
on the couch all the time. I was like trying to save people's businesses. So I looked at a lot of people
Yeah.
like laying on couches and I was like, man, that looks amazing. So maybe I'm still dreaming of my pandemic vacation.
I do that. I love it. I love it. Okay, last one. Favorite song and why?
Oh my goodness. Oh, this one changes like every like year.
Okay, so 2021 favorite
This
song.
is a really gosh. And I just listen to like kcrw.com all the time. So half the time I don't even know the songs that they're playing or what their names are. Favorite song of all time. I have to say that like one of the most beautiful, I'll say like the most compelling music to me that like always stirs emotions in me is the soundtrack for Cinema Paradiso, which is an Italian film.
Okay.
And
Not familiar.
like the music, I want to say it's Ennio Morricone was the composer, but that
Okay.
music moves me to tears. And I'm not that much of like a classical music, but all of it is just so emotional. And I hear it and it just absolutely like moves me to tears whenever I hear it. It's like such an emotional thing.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna have to go look that up now, because I'm a music lover. I love music. So that's so good. So see, that was very painless. All right, so Michelle, how can they stay connected with you? Please, let the audience know she is a wealth of knowledge, as you already have, been able to hear today. And she is always, I think, as much as I see you, you're always sharing information and tips and strategies, especially, just around business, which I love. So let them know how they can stay connected with you, and if there's anything you want to offer the audience as well.
Well, you can find me at besage, BESAGE, consulting.com. And if you are looking to build a business or change your business or spin something off or explore a new venture, I always tell people the best thing you can do is start a business plan. It doesn't need to be something really boring and stuffy that you would show to the bank. It's for you. And it can honestly just be a list of bullet points. And if that'll help you think through the process of how to make something very viable for you to work with. And so if you want a free business plan, I call it the quick and easy business plan template. Go to besageconsulting.com, just scroll down from that homepage and you'll be able to find my free template.
Awesome. I hope you guys got that down. That's besageconsulting.com. So hopefully everybody is running to go get that, because I know that it is going to be amazing and very helpful for your business if you do have a business out there. So listen, guys, thank you so much. I'm always amazed at how quickly the time goes. Like I look down and I'm like, how is it even like already have been almost an hour that we've been on here? But that's what happens when we're having great conversation, great dialogue, and really just sharing with one another. Thank you guys for sharing this time in this space. Please remember to go back and re-listen to this. You can head over to YouTube where it'll be uploaded, and you'll be able to find the recording so that you can re-listen to it. Also, please make sure that you subscribe while you're over there. If you know another mompreneur or woman in business that you think this would benefit, remember, I always say sharing is caring. So please make sure you share it with her and love on her with that. Listen, you can have it all. Just like Michelle said, you can do it all, but it has to be on your terms and your time. Okay, friends? We will see you again here next Thursday, same time, another fabulous woman in business or mompreneur. Thank you guys so much and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.